Under Erik Ten Hag, Manchester United's tactics have undergone a significant transformation, with a clear improvement in their style of play since last season. Ten Hag has introduced a greater structure, pressing, and fluidity, making Manchester United a more organised and cohesive unit. However, despite the tactical progress, the results on the pitch have yet to fully reflect the improvements. While the performances show promise, turning these into consistent victories remains the challenge for the Red Devils. Here's how you can recreate Erik Ten Hag's tactics for FC24. As we have already established in previous videos, Erik Ten Hag does favour the 4-2-3-1 system and structure. This is due to the fact that it is very adaptable and it can shapeshift into various different formations. When they do press, you see Manchester United pressing in a 4-2-4 aggressive pressing structure, and when they do look to build their attacks, they can build out in a 3-1-6 attacking formation. The tactical approach implemented by Erik Ten Hag and his coaching staff between pre-season as well as the regular season has seen no major changes to it, so you will see a lot of similarities between this video and the previous one. The tactical vision should be set to wing play, as Ten Hag does like a good combination play to occur in those wider zones between the fullbacks and the wingers, having the one invert and the other one overlap. And this in turn will open up a lot of central space for the central midfielders as well as the striker. For the defensive approach, you will see Ten Hag's side set up in a 4-4-2 system, looking to press the opposition's backline very aggressively, but there will be pressing triggers, so therefore a pressure on heavy touch approach should be applied, as this will allow them to successfully recreate that 4-4-2 defensive structure, and then only once the opposition make a mistake, you will see them aggressively press on that opposition player and win the ball back, and then look to transition into an attacking opportunity. The team's width should be set to 65, as you do tend to see the wingers pressing from those wider zones, looking to try and aid with that 4-2-4 aggressive pressing structure. In turn, this will create a nice man-v-man pressing system, allowing you to successfully be able to press the opposition very aggressively higher up the field. And along with that aggressive pressing structure and nature, you will see the backline of the side press higher up the field, implementing a nice high line, having the centre-backs be very involved in the play, as we have seen the likes of Matthias Select or Harry Maguire, depending on who you favoured, as well as the likes of Martinez, fire those line-breaking passes into the midfield zones, looking to try and break the lines of the opposition. The backline will be very crucial in trying to establish Ten Hag's style of play, as he does require a high tempo, high energy, high work rate system from all of his players. The offensive system for the Red Devils is centered around fast transitions and winning the ball back high up the field very aggressively. But in terms of the build-up play, it should be set to maintaining a balanced role, as you do tend to see the likes of Onana building the attacks from the back every now and then, or potentially launching those longer balls further forward. Now, this could be one of the centre-backs or the goalkeeper, or maybe even one of the deeper lying midfielders getting on the ball in those deeper zones and looking to get those runners in behind with a quick-fired long ball over the top. You will see the fast build-up implemented as well as the slow build-up implemented along with the long ball approach. When watching United in real life, you do tend to see all three build-up styles initiated. This allows for the Red Devils to be very dynamic with their attacking patterns, and it can often catch the opposition off guard. So Erik Ten Hag does demand that his side creates aggressive overloads, whether it's in the wider zones, the central zones, or just attacking in that final third area. So he does demand that the players get forward as much as possible. You do tend to see the fullbacks overloading in the wider zones alongside the wingers, and even in the central zones, the two defensive midfielders can venture high up the field and create aggressive 1-2 attacking opportunities. The offensive width of the team will remain at 80, allowing for the wider players to be very involved in the attacking play, looking to try and stretch the play and open up space centrally or in between the lines, or in the half spaces for the other players to go ahead and try and exploit. The players in the box should be set to 6, as Ten Hag does want at least 3 players to be in and around those attacking zones at all times, being ready for those potential crossing or cutback opportunities. But at the same time, you will have a healthy amount of players on the edge of the area, either looking to rotate the offensive play or potentially looking to counter-press the opposition and win the ball back in those more advanced attacking zones. Finally, the corners as well as the free kicks should be set to 4. Onto the individual player roles and instructions, and we'll start off at the back with the goalkeeper in Onana, who will be set to maintaining a balanced role for saving on crosses. As I mentioned in the previous video, he can be very aggressive in the air, looking to win those aerial duels, claim those aerial threats, and alleviate the stress and the pressure on the backline. Or at other times, he can look to stay on his line himself and allow for the defenders or the potential defensive midfielders to deal with those aerial threats and clear the lines very effectively. One of the most important features to Erik Ten Hag's system, alongside many other Premier League sides and how they look to build up their attacks, you will want the keeper to be set to being the sweeper keeper, looking to sweep up just in behind your very aggressive high line, but also looking to establish that offensive platform for the rest of the side to build up off of, looking to play the ball into the centre-backs in that first phase of the build-up play. United centre-back pairing of Martinez as well as Matthias Select will have very similar roles and instructions going forward, with both of them being able to collect the ball from the goalkeeper and play those line-breaking passes further forward into either the midfield or the attacking line. Now, both of these players will be set to their base role and instructions, apart from the one, and that is for Martinez to be able to step up. This has been a common feature for Manchester United's defenders over the last 3 years alongside Erik Ten Hag, where he does want his defenders being very aggressive and imposing towards the opposition, often following them into the midfield zones, and that is exactly what the step-up ability will allow for at least Martinez to do, whereas Matthijs de Ligt will also have this role every now and then, but he does tend to be the guy who hangs back a bit more and looks to try and cover the likes of Martinez when he does venture forward into the midfield zones. Now, a change that we have seen from pre-season to now has been the role of Mazraoui as well as Dalot, who are both set to join the attack, looking to create aggressive overloads higher up the field alongside the two wingers. So you want them to be able to join the attack very successfully, but the run type for both of them as well will be set to mix. Quite often we have seen Mazraoui as well as Dalot overlapping the wingers, or at times even inverting into midfield, looking to link up the play in those central zones. Finally, alongside the likes of Martinez, you will see the two fullbacks aggressively stepping up and imposing themselves on the attacking wide players. As you'll see here for the likes of Diego Dalot, he'll be set to the same role and instructions as well. Both of these players will be effective in the wider areas, looking to facilitate crossing or cutback opportunities. Into the central areas, and Casemiro as well as Kobbie Mainoo will be the double pivot. Now, both of these players will have two very different roles. Casemiro will be one of the deepest lying midfield players, whereas Kobbie Mainoo will be a bit more of the box-to-box presence. And I will say that both Casemiro as well as Mainoo can interchange roles very effectively. So for the role of Casemiro, you want him to be able to cut past lanes for his defensive behavior, and the same can be said for Kobbie Mainoo. Ten Hag does demand that double pivot is very active in the central zones, looking to break up the play, disturb the offensive rhythm that the opposition might be trying to generate in their midfield zones. Now, for Casemiro specifically, he'll be set to stay back while attacking, looking to drop between the two centre-backs and formulate a back three system, and this will help successfully build the base of this 3-1-6 formation. The interceptions for the defensive midfielder should be set to aggressive, as you do tend to see Casemiro diving into the tackles, looking to break up the play, be very aggressive and imposing towards the opposition players. Finally, the positioning freedom should be set to deep lying playmaker, as this will help him successfully drop quite deep at times, get on the ball and look to establish that play, as well as cover the central zones, and this will particularly position him in those central areas of the pitch, looking to have the likes of Martinez and de Ligt on either side of your defensive midfielder. Now, I will also say this, that Ugarte will have a very similar role based on what I've heard and what I've seen from various outlets and, of course, YouTube channels, and he will also look to play in this exact role and position. Whereas your other player in Kobbie Mainoo will also be set to cut past lanes, as I've already mentioned, but the attacking support will be set to balance, and he will be the linking chain between combining the defense to the attack, looking to link the ball very effectively and transition it very swiftly to the forward line players. The interception should be set to normal, and then for the positioning freedom, he will be set to stick to position, although you can also play him as a deep lying playmaker, and then of course cover the wing. And like I said, Casemiro can play in this position as well, so if you have the likes of Ugarte playing the Casemiro role, you can shift Casemiro over to the Mainoo position and have him play there very successfully. Now onto the role of the number 10, and Bruno Fernandes alongside Joshua Zirkzee would look to overlap the striker. You would see them almost swapping positions every now and then, having Zirkzee drop quite deep, having Zirkzee drop into the midfield, and Bruno play almost as that false nine striker. We saw a very similar relationship formulate between the likes of Bruno and Mason Mount, looking to have the one press very aggressively higher up the field whilst the other one dropped, and vice versa situations would occur. Now, the defensive support for Bruno Fernandes does play a very big role in that, as he will be able to drop quite deep at times, look to drop into the midfield zones alongside the striker, or even stay higher up the field and be an outlet ball for the quick transition attacks. The support on crosses will be left on balance, as you do tend to see Bruno operating on the edge of the area, looking to facilitate the pace of play, rotate the play on the edge of the area, and trying to create an offensive opportunity. Or every now and then you might see him in the box looking to get on the end of a cross or a cutback opportunity himself. The positioning freedom for the key number 10 will be set to free roam, as you do tend to see Fernandes operating between the lines or in the half spaces, looking to really establish and facilitate the offensive play for Manchester United. Finally, the interception should be set to aggressive, and like I mentioned earlier, this will help successfully formulate a 4-4 aggressive pressing structure. Your two wider midfielders in Alejandro Garnacho as well as Marcus Rashford will have the same roles and instructions. Starting off with the defensive support, you have seen so far this season that both Rashford as well as the right winger, whether it's Amad Diallo or Garnacho, dropping quite deep at times and looking to help support in those wider zones against the opposition attacking play. The chance creation for both will be left on balance, as you do tend to see them arcing their runs into the central zones or potentially staying out wide and looking to facilitate attacking options from those wider zones, looking to combine very effectively with the overlapping or underlapping fullbacks. For the support runs, this will be left on balance, as we have seen this season Erik Ten Hag doesn't just demand his wingers make those aggressive direct runs in behind all the time. Yes, they can do it, and they have done it so far this season, but he also demands them to be able to collect the ball in those deeper spaces, hold up the play, and link it up very effectively with either the fullbacks or potentially the midfielders looking to drift into those wider areas. Finally, the interceptions should be set to aggressive, as again this will aid with creating that 4-2-4 aggressive press, as well as the support on crosses should be left unbalanced. You have seen Marcus Rashford create from those wider spaces, looking to facilitate crossing opportunities into the box for the attackers in those zones. But you've also seen the likes of Alejandro Garnacho, Amad Diallo, as well as Marcus Rashford every now and then breaking into the box themselves and looking to create an offensive opportunity for either a teammate with a cutback or potentially a shot opportunity for themselves. As you'll see here for your left midfielder, he'll be set to the same role and instructions as well. Now onto the role of the striker in Joshua Zirkzee, who does have a very different temperament in the style of play compared to Rasmus Højlund from what we saw last season, as well as that 15-minute spell versus Arsenal in pre-season. So for the role of Joshua Zirkzee, he will be left on a balance with, allowing him to drift into those wider zones, looking to combine very efficiently and effectively with the wider attackers, or even allowing him to stay central and combine with the likes of Bruno Fernandes, as well as the two deeper lying midfielders. Now, one of the most important key aspects to what Zirkzee can produce for the side is his ability to drop into the midfield zones, playing as that false nine, interchanging positions with the likes of Bruno Fernandes. This is where you will see the likes of Bruno operating as a striker, with Zirkzee operating as the number 10, or the 9.5 as he has dubbed himself to be. So you will see him dropping into the midfield zones, combining with the likes of Mainu and Casemiro, or Ugarte and Casemiro, or whoever you have in those central areas. The interception should be set to normal, as he doesn't aggressively close down the opposition. He doesn't have that great of a work ethic when out of possession of the ball, but he can effectively look to close down space every now and then, looking to block off certain passing angles and lanes for the opposition to not really successfully build up their attacks from those backline areas. And then of course you want his defensive support to be able to come back on defense, looking to drop into that defensive 4-4-2 shape and effectively allow him to interchange with the likes of Fernandes. And there you go, people. That is how I would successfully go ahead and recreate Erik Ten Hag's tactics for FC24, the newer and more updated version of it. Now, I do know that the results haven't reflected the vast improvement that we have seen, but you're either bantering or you just don't know ball if you say that Ten Hag's tactics, there's no difference between this season and last season, as there is quite a big gap between the style of play, the quality of play, and Erik Ten Hag really trying to establish a very aggressive transition-based team. So anyways, that's just my say on it. If you don't mind smashing the like button down below, subscribing if you are new, we are on the road to 10,000 subs, and of course FC25 is quite literally out next week, which I am very, very excited for. If you would like to, and you have a Discord profile and an account and all that good stuff, join up with the Brom Squad Gaming Discord server. We are chatting everything FC25 and everything real life football. So if you would like to join up with the chats or just have a question to ask of me personally, join up with Discord. It is free. The link will be down below in the description. Anyways, until the next time, until the next one, I hope you have a smashing goddamn day, and I'm out of here. Peace.